There was something special about games in the 2000s. They were weird, experimental, sometimes awkward, but full of magic that you can't find today. That's why we're going back and revisiting the three games that still deserve your time. First up, we have Jak and Daxter. Released on December 4th, 2001. This game was way ahead of its time. You play as Jak, a young boy who goes on an adventure with his sidekick Daxter to turn him back into a human after a mishap with Dark Eco. After a lengthy 7-minute unskippable intro, you are thrown into a vast world with many characters and objectives to complete. Naughty Dog does a great job at creating a seamless environment, mainly due to its lack of loading screens. As a kid, this game seemed massive, with many secrets to uncover. Combat is simple, but incredibly fluid, with each move naturally flowing into the next. Now, I'll admit, I am incredibly biased when it comes to this game, so for me, it's the greatest of all time. Other than game mechanics, the landscapes in Jak and Daxter are absolutely breathtaking. Each area has an identity of its own, yet is cohesive with the game as a whole. I can't tell you how many times I've paused just to take in the beauty of the surroundings, the calmness of Sentinel Beach, the coziness of Snowy Mountain. I climbed the tallest structures possible just to see that spinning globe thing in the Forbidden Jungle. It gets me every time. It's so beautiful. Paired with a dreamy soundtrack, it's impossible not to fall in love with this game, which to this day, I still replay. Now let's move on to the game that felt like a fever dream. Kaya and her brother Frank discover a secret room in their home and accidentally activate a portal that transports them to another world. Separated from Frank, Kaya joins forces with peaceful creatures to bring him back. You'll arrive in Native City, a lush green town that is currently under construction by the fox-like creatures that help Kaya survive this strange new world. Here she will learn hand-to-hand combat skills, obtain magical abilities, and help rebuild the city. The combat system has to be one of my favorite features of this game. Of course, it would be cool to use guns, explosives, or weapons that most games have, but just seeing Kaya 1-2 with these wolves is very satisfying. You can also purchase cool power-ups and accessories as more shops begin to open. There's also the magical boomy that will come in handy many times on your journey. There are various missions which are accessible inside this gigantic tree through its many wind tunnels. These tunnels will transport you to other areas that have been overrun by the Wolfen soldiers. Unfortunately, these soldiers were once native city inhabitants as well. Luckily for Kaya, she has the ability to turn these bad guys back into natives, after giving them a two-piece, of course. Like Jak and Daxter, Kaya also feels surprisingly seamless, with very few loading screens interrupting the experience. To add on to the adventure, there are many mini-games in Native City that are super entertaining. You can race against the clock in multiple magic board levels, capture lost animals for the zoo, or avoid objects as you free fall through wind tunnels. These mini-games are super fun and adds on to its replayability. I've come back to this game many times just to race against the clock and beat my own scores, especially this one. I wonder what it would be like with an online feature for this specifically. Unfortunately, Kaya Dark Lineage sold an estimated 160,000 to 200,000 copies worldwide across its lifetime. It did not resonate with the masses, but for those who did play it, can't deny its creativity or appeal. Kaya may not be remembered as a PS2 classic, but it represents everything I miss about that era of gaming. But while some games felt like strange forgotten dreams, others quietly pushed storytelling further than most people realize. Beyond Good and Evil is one of those obscure games you find while randomly browsing the shelves at GameStop. For some reason, you've never heard of it, but once you start playing, it turns out to be one of the most enthralling games of its time. You play as Jade, an investigative journalist and staff-wielding expert on the planet of Hillis. When an alien force known as the DOMS attacks her home, Jade uncovers a massive military conspiracy. She eventually joins the Iris Network to expose the truth behind the disappearances happening across Hillis. On her journey, Jade carries a Polaroid camera to capture evidence and expose the truth. You can also use the camera to photograph wild animals, which is rewarded with money, known as units, or pearls to be exchanged for goods. Now I know that sounds very heavy, but there are many aspects to Beyond Good and Evil that make it endearing. The world of Hillis is very unique compared to its competitors. Despite all of the destruction, the world of Hillis is oddly comforting. You can stop by the Akuta Bar and play a game of air hockey with a pearl-wielding shark. You can also go to the Hillis City canals and race for a monetary reward. Many of its inhabitants are unique, often hybrids of animals like goats, pigs, and mythical-looking creatures. The stark contrast between the pedestrian district and the sinister factory missions offer a nice switch up to keep you engaged at all times. Despite its many sci-fi elements, this game is incredibly mature, with its themes of propaganda and truth still relevant today. Beyond Good and Evil does a great job at tackling heavy subjects while still feeling emotional and deeply personal. Sadly, it didn't do great commercially, only selling about 500,000 copies across the PS2, Xbox, and GameCube, leading Ubisoft to pull back its expansion at the time. It may not have been a commercial success, but Beyond Good and Evil definitely managed to gain a cult-like following, still hopeful for a sequel. And yes, I am one of those still waiting for a sequel. Revisiting these games remind me of how good we used to have it. The creativity and experimental nature of the 2000s is something I yearn for. Maybe it's just nostalgia, but it feels like we lost something when these kinds of games disappeared. These games may be old, but the feeling they gave us never really went away. What's a game you think we need to revisit? Comment your ideas down below, and thank you so very much for watching.